Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk about today is going to work a little bit with your hybrid. And I've had a few people ask, how do I hit a fade with my hybrid club? So we're going to do that video to show you how to do that. And we're going to simplify it as much as we can. Now, the biggest thing for me, two things I would say, is number one, understand how to play the shot. And number two, pay a lot of attention to your golf ball. Your golf ball really is the thing that's giving you sort of immediate feedback to tell you how well you've done when you've made that shot. So they're the two things I need you to look at. But let's understand, what is a fade. So a fading shot is a golf ball, as a right-handed golfer, that would start left of the intended target. And the way we've set this up, you can see my posts going down the practice ground, is we want the ball to start left of those posts. It would curve in the air from left to right, and it would come back to the posts. So a fade is a ball that would start left and come back to the target. Okay, just to understand what a slice is, that's a golf ball that again would start left but would miss the target to the right. So it would be curving too much. So again, starting to understand that. If you do have a problem slicing the ball, hopefully you'll understand why you're doing it by the end of this particular video, and it may help you to get rid of that. And if you are trying to get rid of your slicing shots, go and look at my videos on how to draw the ball with the driver and draw with my iron shots and get an idea of how to improve that. So back to what we're talking about today, we're talking about the fade. So the first thing I need to do is understand that's the shape. Now the second thing is, what do I physically need to do? And there are two parts to that. Part one is what we call the path of the swing. The path of the swing is the journey the club makes as it goes through the golf ball. Okay? The second part is what we call the club face. And we're going to talk about the face relative to the path. So as you swing through the ball, let's say I'm looking to hit a straight shot, my club would come into the ball on this line, and if I hit it straight, the club face would be square to that path. And if those two things were correct, I'd hit a dead straight shot. Now we're looking to hit a fade. So what I need to do, let's just put some sticks down to highlight what I call the biggest mechanical bit. And the biggest mechanical bit is the path of the swing. This is the part that's going to encourage the golf ball to start left. If we don't encourage the ball to start left, we're not going to hit a fade. Okay, that's your starting point of the shot. So all we've done here is we've put down a couple of sticks. Let's just make sure they're aiming correct. Now it's a little bit too much. And there, just you can see that little tram line that I've created relative to the red stick and now going left. So I'm just going to make a setup and a swing that goes down that line. We'll get some information from the launch monitor to tell me, have I swung left as I go through the ball? Because sometimes you make a swing, you think you've done something, and that isn't the case. Okay, so you hopefully can see those tram lines now running parallel to that. That's aiming me way left of this first post. And if I get my body parallel to that, and I now swing my arms and the club down that line, I'm only going to hit this ball about 100 yards. There. And I've kept the face very square to that line. What that's created now, if I look at my data, because I've deliberately aimed left, my path has gone 7 degrees left of the intended target. So job was done. That's brilliant. Okay, now on that occasion, my club face was also a further 2 degrees left of that. So my golf ball started left and actually curved a tiny bit more left, which is not what we're looking to do. But remember, we're looking at two parts. So part one, we got the path. Hopefully what you can see from what we've created there with the tram lines, you can see how the setup would create that idea of shot. So here's the second part. Relative to the path of swing, the club face now needs to point to the right of that, okay? And key thing to remember here, we're talking about the path of the swing, not the target, okay? And the more I start to open the club face up and start to bring it back towards the target, the ball will start to spin in the air. The initial encouragement was to start left. The ball will start to spin in the air back towards the target. Okay, so we're going to make another swing. I'm going to do the same setup. And now what I'm doing, swinging down that line of the tram lines. And then I'm going to look to feel like the club face is a little bit open. You can do this in two ways. You can either open it a little bit, or as you come through, you can sort of feel the wrists opening the club up. And here's an important thing, and if you've watched my videos, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's finding your way. Some of you will have feel and you'll sense it in your hands. Some will feel like you need to do it in the setup. Find your way. That's the important thing. But the important bit here now is to trust the flight of the ball. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to aim left, and from there, relative to the path of the swing, still going left, my club face is going to be pointing right of that, and that now will start to create a little bit of left to right spin. Through, come through. It's only curving a tiny amount, that ball. Okay, so we'll give you another name of a shot. So let's just explain the shot that I've just hit there. So that ball went pretty straight on that line. So my path of swing was good. Let's just see what that was. My path of swing was going 9 degrees left. So that's great. Perfect. That's going to promote the fade. But my club face was only 1 degree open to it. So it's pretty square to that path. So I've hit a shot what you would call a pull. So if you're somebody who does that, you stand up on the tee, you make a swing, and it goes straight left. That's what we call a pull shot. That's when your path of swing is going left, but my face was square to that path, and it just goes like an arrow dead straight left. But here's the good news. We're looking to hit a fade, and the path of swing was still doing a fading swing. So I've still got one of the components I want. I've now just got to have the confidence, and what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to deliberately open the face a bit more. So let's trust the swing. Still going with the path there, going with the sticks. Now on this occasion, the ball's curving in the air nicely back towards the target, and it's probably ended up landing a yard right of my target. Perfect. So what have I done there? So if we look at that, and we just look at my data, I've swung the club 11 degrees left. Okay, still good, because remember, that's going to promote the fade. We want the path going that way. My face relative to that, and we're going to explain something in a minute why this wasn't perfect, but it ended up a good result, was 3 degrees open. Now that doesn't sound enough, and that's 3 degrees open to the path, not the target. So why did my ball end up coming all the way back to the target? And it can only be 2 other things that's caused that. That ball should have still ended up a little bit left of target, because with that amount of shape, I should have probably had nearer 6 or 7 degrees open face. Okay, that's just the science, what we're talking about, 60% of the way back. So how did it end up back at the target? It can only be 2 things. One, the weather. Okay, today there is a tiny little bit of wind left to right, so that's helped my ball come back. The other thing could be I haven't hit it perfectly out the middle of the club face. And what you tend to find is if you hit what we call slightly towards the heel of the club, you get a thing called gear effect, which is like an extra spin put on the ball, and that can promote also a little bit of a fade. So this might be something, you go to the practice ground and you're getting launch monitor data, and your launch monitor data looks good, but the ball isn't flying as you want, you might be mishitting the ball. Okay, but let's go back to what we're here to sort of go through. Okay, I don't want to complicate it too much, might seem like we are a little bit, but the one thing I've done well, which is the starting point of this shot, is I've kept that feeling of having the feet left. So that's keeping my path there. That's keeping me encouraging the idea of the shot. And now it's just working on that club face. So from there, it just feels like the club face is pointing slightly right of the path. That's what's going to create the spin. Through, that's a much nicer shot. Coming through, that's come all the way back to my target at about 170 yards, because I'll tend to lose a little bit of distance. So I've swung 8 degrees left, and my club face relative to that now was 4 degrees right of the path. So about halfway back, because of that little bit of wind, and I struck that one definitely much more out of the middle of the club, it's done perfectly what we wanted to do. So there's a little bit of science in today's lesson, and I do like to keep my lessons as simple as possible. But the 2 main things that you're working on here, and remember those 2 things are from hitting a solid strike off the face of the club. Okay, so you're hitting it pretty central off the face of the club. Is we want the path of the swing, and remember, always I'm demonstrating as a right-handed golfer, we need the swing to go right through the, needs to swing left through the golf ball. So that's going to encourage it to start left. And then if that club face is approximately 60% back to the target, you will then get the perfect fading shot coming back to your target. Now, you're not a perfect machine. So this is why we talked about the flight of the ball. Watch the flight. Okay, when I was a junior golfer, I would have stood here and hit hundreds of these, and just is like an experiment. It was having a bit of fun with it. Go to the practice ground and do that. Start with number one. Is my path going left? Yes. See the ball start left. If the ball starts to curve right, then it shows your club face is now slightly open to it. If it overdoes it, reduce it a bit. If it's not doing it enough, do it a little bit more. But that's the idea of how you hit a fade with your hybrid club. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. As we mentioned earlier, if you want to know how to draw the ball, go and look at my videos on how to draw it, and they'll give you the idea of how to get the results that you want. Thank you. And please share this with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.